Back here at Main Street Pub in Allendale, and you just heard on that highlight another sack, and that was a key to the game last week when the Lakers pulled it out 21-10. The defense, once again, outstanding, allowed just 17 points so far this year. One of the guys at the helm of that is co-defensive coordinator Jim Lewis, and he'll join us now. Our assistant coach perspective is brought to you by Kent Equipment, solutions that turn work into play. And, Coach, you've just got to be thrilled with the depth we've seen, especially from your defensive ends.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things that we try to preach every year is that we want to build the two deep and beyond, not just for, games when we're ahead by a lot, but just in terms of how we want to attack people and how we want to play. It's very important for us to get, at least 22 to 25 different players out there for us in any situation. So, we knew that was going to be the case going down to Cleveland, Mississippi with the heat and the humidity, and we, it just went right into our wheelhouse of how we want to do things. Now, one of the things that maybe we weren't as prepared for was the tempo in which that Delta State's offense played with. We didn't think they were going to play like that, but, we adjusted after a couple series, and, our depth, really showed up as the game went on.
Yeah, with a team that works that quickly, it's so difficult to get the rotation, and you can't really sub players. So how do you kind of adjust on the fly like that and get guys used to, okay, we thought we were going to be able to rotate every player or two. Now you got to play almost a whole series.
Yeah, generally you don't sub until there's a stoppage of play, so an incomplete pass, timeout, a penalty, or something like that. Unfortunately for us, they were running the ball quite a bit in first and second down, and so we actually did have a couple times where we were able to sub 3 or 4 guys in there and not have a penalty. We did have to burn one timeout one time, but at the end of the day, our players, our coaches had to adjust to the rhythm and how they were going. It just got to a point where as soon as the play was whistled dead, I was signaling the defense for the next the next play coming up because they were going to snap the ball in 10 seconds or less. So
yeah, no, they did. Fastest I've seen.
Yeah.
Jim, coming in, you knew, you got great guys up front, talented players throughout the defense, but you kind of knew more what you had up front, a lot of depth you're building. Linebacking crew, a little more of a question mark. They appear to be playing very, very well. Isaiah and Kansai, and also with Tyler Bradfield and others, these guys are also making big plays. How's that front seven in your mind doing right now?
Yeah, there's kind of 2 hats that I wear, the co-defensive coordinator is one side of the thing, and the other side is the linebackers coach. And so, as the person in charge of calling the defense, it was really, exciting going into this year in terms of the amount of depth we had at the defensive line, the experience we had coming back at the defensive back position. But as a position coach, as a linebackers coach, we graduated a lot of players.
Yes.
All of our starters are gone, and really Tyler Bradfield is coming in with the most game repetitions, and he plays actually outside linebacker. So our 2 inside linebacker positions really weren't solidified, and so I was probably most nervous about that position group. And, to be honest, I've been very, very pleased the first 2 weeks with our inside linebacking core. We had a lot of faith in Tyler Bradfield, that he was going to be able to go out there and do his thing. He's been able to, demonstrate that week in and week out in practice and also in games from last year. But Isaiah Nkansa has played absolutely lights out for 2 weeks. He's played fast. He's played very efficiently and, without fear at all. Brendan McMahon has been a lifetime backup until this year, played a lot of special teams, and is really coming into his own. And then also Tyree Horton, he's a transfer that's come a long way for us in a short period of time. And so I'm really excited about all of their careers, but obviously as the weeks go on, that you're going to see us get better and better at that position group.
It looks like such a great athletic group. I mean, you got guys who can thump if you need to, but my partner Tim Knott on the radio broadcast was saying Horton, for example, great in space. It was just, that's his style, just getting to the ball. You seem to have guys who can do whatever you need. We had Bradfield late in the game covering a pass route way down the field. Very versatile.
Absolutely, and they all can do reciprocal jobs in that. Like, we can play a multitude of coverages because we have different players we can put in different spots to do different jobs. And so at the end of the day, that really, really helps us with, the type of athletes that we're able to utilize out there. And, at the end of the day, I know Dylan Carroll's coming on, and, our D-line's been, exceptional the first 2 games. and Tyree Horton. But people like Dylan and Tyree, the thing that people don't realize about that is that Tyree's like almost 240 pounds moving that way. Dylan Carroll's about 265 moving that way. So not only are they fast and athletic, but they're also big and physical as well. So that's obviously something that we got to lean on.
And you guys have played so phenomenal. You mentioned how impressed you've been with these first couple of weeks. And the thing that impresses me the most is between a guy like Chris Hendricks, Tyree Horton, Isaiah Nkansa. You've got so many transfers that have come in and picked this up in such a short amount of time. What's been the key, or I guess the recipe, to get these guys in the fold and get them kind of knowing what's going on so quickly?
Yeah, it's been very important for us in developing a game plan for the first 3 games now that is going to be one that our guys can play fast. So we do have a multiple defense. There's a lot of things that we can do, but at the end of the day, we've tried to pare it down enough to where, guys that are new to the program can go out there and execute and play with no fear of failure.
And then finally, I got one more for you, because I want to know how you and Nick Postma, because co-defensive coordinators, I've spent plenty of time talking to Postma, plenty of time talking to you. Yeah. What is that relationship like for maybe someone who doesn't get to see you guys in practice every day, standing right next to each other on the sideline, yelling at the defense? What's that relationship been like?
Absolutely. Yeah, I hope Nick's listening, actually, because it's really cool. Coach Mitch will probably be able to attest to this. Early, the first year or two, we kind of butted heads a little bit, and he has his style, I have mine. But, I think it was in 2015 when we started making the playoff run, when Nick and I finally just put our egos aside and stepped in together and said, hey, we're going to do this thing together. And a lot of it was on me, and really entrusting him that, hey, we're both going to have a play in this thing. And since that run in 15, it was right after the Tiffin game, and then we played – Saginaw Valley, we played exceptional defense for 5-6 weeks straight. And since that point in time, Coach Bose and I have been able to collaborate at a very high level, and we have a great relationship. And it's awesome working with Nick every day. Yeah, it's interesting too.
I can only imagine.
Yes.
Truly exceptional stuff. Before we let you go, though, just a quick overview, defensive side, going against Northern this week. Arguably one of the top running backs, certainly in the region, maybe all of Division II. What's that like, taking on Northern this week defensively?
Yeah, it brings up a lot of challenges in that they're multiple on offense as well. They can line up a bunch of different ways, and they use what we call 11Y off offense. And so they utilize their tight end to create an extra gap, but they motion to it, they'll move post-snap to it. And so whenever they do things like that, that creates challenges in terms of how it's getting fit up. And the running backs, the group, not just man, but number 1, name is escaping me, Caldwell. Those 2 players, they kind of have a yin and a yang. And so man is great in space. He's great in the box. The other player, he's more of a downhill, get you 10 type of a guy. But at the end of the day, it does create some challenges in terms of how we fit it, but most importantly, once we get there, the fundamentals of leveraging the ball the right way and playing with my teammate and tackling and swarming to the football. So again, at the end of the day, if we can play base fundamental football and just do what we preach every day in our hallmarks and our philosophy of pursuit to the football, ball leverage, tackling, toughness, fit in the run, will be great.
Well, you guys have been great through the first 2 weeks, and I'm sure more to come. Jim, thanks for coming on and talking with us.
Yeah, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Jake.
Co-defensive coordinator Jim Lewis with us in the assistant coach interview. Straight ahead, defensive end Dylan Carroll, the GLIAC Defensive Player of the Week. We're going to talk with him next. There's a movement at Grand Valley State University that's making a lasting impact on our students, the state, and beyond. It's called the Laker Effect. Find out more, visit gvsu.edu. Back with more of the GVSU Football Weekly Report after this on the Grand Valley Sports Network.